Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Civil Gore Podcast. This is our Halloween Horror Nights 2021 preview. I am your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And while we don't do this preview every year, so to speak, we do it on the years we're going. And we are going. I know there's a pandemic out there. Florida's got some crazy cases there, but we're going in well prepared. We have some Civil Gore official masks we're going to be wearing. We got plenty of sanitizer we'll be bringing.
My mask shipped today, Brian, so I should be getting them in plenty of time.
You'll get that in a couple days. And our masks are deluxe masks. Actually, you can get a filter pack. So they're the good ones. They basically kind of make them like a KN95. So we will be wearing masks. Tim and I are always a super precaution. And I am, with my OCD, I am going to have so many wipes and sanitizers with me that, like, I think Universal may actually pay me because I've shined the place up.
Yeah. But, as Brian's disinfecting as he walks through the crowds.
I do.
There's an aura around him.
In fact, yeah, you want like normally I get it, social distancing is a key, but when it's me, you may want to be just outside that 6 feet because you may get some of the afterglow and the waft of my sanitizer and Clorox wipes. But yeah, no, we'll be very careful, of course. But we did, we booked this trip. We want to go through with it. We're vaccinated. We're going to be as careful as possible. And, and we want to bring you some content for it too. So this will be fun. So we wanted to do a preview just because, more so to get kind of just go over it for our own sake of fun. But also for anyone that's planning to go down there. We know we have a bunch of friends going like the week before, I think. Mm-hmm. I think we have some that might be going a little after, so we know a lot of people going down there, so we figured this would be a fun episode, just kind of go through all the stuff that's going to be there. I think this year is going to be one of the best despite what's going on, and all the precautions we'll need to take, but still I think Universal did a great job planning this. So I think we'll just go through them. We'll just swap. I guess we'll go back and forth just so you don't have to hear you get a break from my obnoxious voice and get to hear more Tim's dulcet tones. So we'll just take turns, I guess, which we'll go through the houses first, then the scare zones. We're just going to give you the official descriptions and kind of what we think, our opinions of the houses and how we think they're going to be.
Yeah, and I wanted to preface this by saying a lot of these houses, this being the 30th anniversary, a lot of these houses are themed to past Halloween Horror Nights icons. Right. And I don't have that history with the icons that people that have been going for years have. So when we discuss these, there's probably going to be some of you out there listening that are like Halloween Horror Night veterans that are going, wow, why is he not more excited about Jack the Clown? Blah, blah, yeah. And I just don't have that history. I did read that great book about the history of Halloween Horror Nights, but that's just reading a book. That's not actually experiencing it year after year. So just to preface that, I'm kind of going through these as kind of a bit of a noob. I've only been one time before, so bear with us when it comes to the icons. If we're not as familiar with them as you might expect.
And they just updated the book, and even though I have it, it's an extra 2 years of stuff that we'd had. I bought the new version just because it has the version the year that we went in it, so I kind of wanted to read. Get the upgraded version and read about our year that we went first, because we had so much fun, and so it'd be kind of fun to hear how the book puts it. But also another thing is I was planning on rereading it, the original one that I had anyway, so I might as well get the updated one. It'll be fun to read the next week or so before we go. So I guess, Tim, if you want to take it off with the first house that I think is probably one of by far our most anticipated.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this house. This is the Beetlejuice house, and this one I'm mostly looking forward to because of Joshua's going with us, my son Joshua, and this feels like it's just such a great intro house. He's never done a true haunt before, and we got to ease him into this. He is still a little young.
We made the mistake last time. Wrong house for number one, but
so I'm looking forward to this house, not only because of the IP. I'm a big fan of Beetlejuice. The kids love the movie. They watched it a few months ago. It was the first time they had seen it. They absolutely loved it. I had not seen it in years, even though I was very familiar with it. I've seen it, a dozen times, but I had not seen it in a while when I got to watch it with them, and I just really just appreciated it even more. So I'm going to read the official description. Got trouble with the living? You know what to say. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Enter the twisted, terrifying world of the original film as the infamous bio-exorcist haunts you, taunts you, and sends you screaming out of the haunted house. Say it once, say it twice, say it 3 times. It's time to turn up the juice and see what shakes loose as the original film comes to life. More twisted and terrifying than ever. Beetlejuice will haunt, taunt, and send you screaming out of the haunted house. This is another description.
Yeah, they have a bunch.
He'll torment you as you wander checkerboard hallways and abandon you to your fate in the Lost Souls room. He'll menace you through the model graveyard and join in the fun of Dante's Inferno. Be a part of the infamous dinner party scene and witness Beetlejuice's chaotic wedding. It's showtime. So I just expect this one to be a lot of fun, not too super scary. I know there was a preview of this house last year, and people said, there's like goofy jump scares, but it's not like, terrifying. That's some of these might be. So I think this is going to be a fantastic one for the kids, a great way to get them introduced into like the feel of Halloween Horror Nights and get them prepped for what's to come.
Yeah, I think this is going to be very similar to not in terms of scares, but in terms of the theme, like the Stranger Things house was, where I think it'd be like literally reliving it as if you were walking through the set, the movie. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what Universal does well. They're great with their original IPs, but when they do take a standard IP, they bring it up to the notch where you really feel like you're involved in it. What a cool scene would be like if they somehow made it so you felt like you were floating up in the air, like at the end. So
that would be cool.
Shakes in her. I remember for one of the it didn't make it, but for the Coaster Radio thing, I had designed a Beetlejuice ride. A dark ride.
Oh wow!
Didn't make it past the first. I think it was a year you actually won the the thing. Mine didn't even make it into the consideration, but I thought it was good. But it was tough. We had to do that 1 minute pitch, so I didn't really get to explain it the way I wanted to. But anyway, yeah. So that one I'm looking forward to. Next one. This is actually one I'm really looking forward to because I love the series, and that's Netflix's The Haunting of Hill House. And this one, I'll read you the description. It says, "Welcome to Hill House, a structure more alive than its ghostly inhabitants. Inside these walls echo the haunted footsteps of those trapped for all time." And then there's a little bit more description. It says, "It stands like a brooding creature, waiting for its victims. Enter the decaying remains of an aging mansion that lives, even if all who dwell there are long dead. Step right into Netflix supernatural masterpiece, The Haunting of Hill House. Each unsettling room, each darkened hallway takes you deeper and deeper into your worst nightmares. Come face to face with the tall man. Not boy, not that one." The other tall man, or the Jeff Goldblum, right? Wasn't that?
Yeah, that's right.
It's not mine. It's not my film. The bent neck lady, the ghost in the basement, and more. Enter the red room, and you may find yourself spending an all of eternity listening to the sound of your own screams. So this one, I have a feeling, is going to be really. I mean, for us, it's like, the haunts don't. None of the haunts truly scare me. I mean, I'll get startled when something jumps out, but I have a feeling that for the average person, though, this one could be really creepy because the visuals in the series of like the bent neck lady, that was creepy. And
this one I'm a little worried about with the kids. I think this one has the potential to be super scary, but at the same time, I think it also has the potential to be like Poltergeist was the year we were there, where it's really the showcase house where they really just go all out. I feel like this one, for some reason, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but this one to me seems like the showcase house to beat. We'll see.
Yeah, and that's surprising because I've seen some people are kind of just kind of like brushing it off, but I think the fact that Netflix is putting up putting their name on this thing, they're not going to disappoint. I think this is going to be, almost like, as much as you and I think it's going to be one of the best houses, I think as a general view, it's going to be, I think it's going to surprise people how good it is. I just have a really good feeling because I think they sent like the crew that did the Netflix show in.
Oh wow, yeah.
To do this, I thought I read something like that, so I think this is going to be really, really good. I don't know. Maybe see if they could handle the series. The kids, watch first episode or something.
This next one is probably the one I'm most concerned about, at least from the IP based houses, and that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Step into the dilapidated Texas home of the depraved, sadistic Sawyer family who welcome you with razor sharp blades and a roaring chainsaw. You've seen the 1974 horror classic. Now it's your turn to experience it for yourself. Enter the dilapidated Sawyer house and meet Leatherface and his demented family of merciless butchers. Will you make it out in one piece or in pieces? Step right inside the story, experiencing every nightmarish moment for yourself. Explore every familiar room of the Sawyer home, from the parlor to the blood-spattered kitchen. You'll face carving knives, meat cleavers, meat hooks, and of course, that roaring, slicing, flesh-ripping chainsaw. Now, on a personal level, I am so looking forward to this house.
Yeah.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of my top 5 horror movies of all time. The idea of actually exploring the Sawyer house, I mean, that just seems like insane. Chainsaws are just a tried and true scare tactic for any haunt, and then this is literally a haunt themed after chainsaws. So
yeah,
I am super excited for this one. How the kids are going to accept it, I'm a little worried about this one. This one could be a little extreme, I think, but we'll see how it goes.
I think you have to pull a Clark Griswold and just walk into the house with a chainsaw and like fix the newel post. You just need to start going and exposing them to chainsaws like sounds, and then they'll be like, oh, that's kind of funny. Look how cute that guy's got a mask on and he's got a chainsaw. So get him used to it that way.
Yeah, that's a tough one because it's unlike Beetlejuice. It's not one of those movies I can just show the kids.
yeah. The only thing I'm concerned with this house is, since it seems like you're exploring the Sawyer house only, at that point, will we not get to see like a Franklin person to go like, but I gave it to you? We need the Franklin in there.
I'm hoping there's a Franklin. There's got to be a Franklin in there somewhere.
Well, maybe it'll be like the Poltergeist house where when you enter the house, you actually walk on the outside first, then you go into a facade.
Right.
Within.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's in the production central, that's one of the big. That's where I think Stranger Things was. So that's a big area they have there. So it's a big sound stage. So they may have room for it. But next one, this is one that's really cool. I think this is going to be one of our favorites, even though it doesn't get, and it was one that debuted last year kind of as in a limited event. But I think it's one that, you and I are going to be huge fans of regardless. And that's Universal Monsters, The Bride of Frankenstein Lives. And this is basically I'll read the full description. But first, and it says, we belong dead. The last words of Frankenstein's monster when his bride rejected him. Now she'll stop at nothing to bring him back. This time, the bride of Frankenstein is stepping out of the shadows and taking her fate into her own bloody hands. The mate will have her monster, and the monster his mate. Enter the tower ruins where Frankenstein monster pulled the lever to bring down the walls and destroy him and his bride. Recoil in horror as she tried to bring him back at any cost, honing her diabolical genius, one's harvested body part at a time. Don't get caught between her and the brides of Dracula, who she captures and drains in hopes of reanimating her love. So there's just like a continuation, like an original slant on the original story, right, Tim?
Yeah. And also, I should point out, don't get caught between her and the brides of Dracula, and also don't get caught between the moon and New York City.
Yes, you don't want to, because the Arthur house was pretty scary from what I heard many years ago.
No, I'm really excited about this idea. I thought the premise was brilliant. If you saw the teaser video they did, where basically the bride is now the doctor and she's trying to bring him back to life, I thought that was just a super, super cool premise. I love the Universal Monsters, so I've always wanted to do a Universal Monster house. So this one, I'm like beyond excited for this one. And Bride of Frankenstein is one of my favorite, truly my favorite Universal horror film, classic horror film, aside from Creature of the Black Lagoon. So nice. Totally down for this one. Now this next one, that's the 4 IP houses. Now, typically we get half and half, but with this being the 30th anniversary, they went a little heavier on the original side. So we have actually 6 original houses, which is going to be fantastic because as we all know, the original houses are sometimes the best.
Yeah, well, because the IP ones tend to be like you're living through the movie, so you kind of know what's going to happen. Like you'll get startled, but you know what's going to, like the Halloween one, we knew what was going to be there. We knew like, okay, we're in this scene, we're in the police station, okay, we're going out here, and then okay, now here's where Julie will interrupt Loomis. It's the whole thing.
Now this one, Brian, I don't think I'm gonna go through the description of every single character because this gets really long.
No, I put it all down there, but maybe we just go kind of mention a couple. The first 3 are big. I know, or the big.
I'll read the characters that are going to be in here. I just won't go through like that. If you guys want to read the whole description of them, you can go out.
Yeah, no, I just kind of threw it there for our reference more.
But the first a non-IP house is one that's very closely tied to the 30th anniversary, and that is HHN Icons Captured. For the first time ever, 30 years of characters from your worst nightmares come together to decide who's the most evil of them all. Over the last 30 years, Halloween Horror Nights has introduced a murderer's row of original characters. Now they've joined forces, some newly risen to true icon status, to form a monstrous hell of fame, taunting and terrifying you at every turn. You'll meet Jack the Clown, the Storyteller, the Caretaker, and many more, all in one house for the first time ever. As you search for escape, you'll encounter tormented victims as well as each icon's demonic superfans. Who's the most evil of them all? Depending when you visit, a different icon will reign supreme. Now that's interesting, depending when you visit. So this house could change, I'm guessing.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's going to be like, depending on, like literally what it says is like you could enter one night and let's say Jack the Clown is the victor. One night it could be the Caretaker. So I think there probably is like some sort of different ending sequence that they probably have multiple ending sequences, which is pretty unique for a haunt to do something like that. Like I don't remember any haunt where they've ever said something like that, where there's a different ending. It's usually, I mean, yes, you'll get different scares each time you go in there, but for a true different ending in a linear story through a haunt, I think that's pretty unique. So
yeah, now again, I don't have the background on all these characters and the nostalgia for them, but I am going to list them off for you guys that are interested in and know these characters. So of course we have Jack the Clown. Now that one I do know about just because he's probably the biggest one. The Caretaker, Dr. Albert Kane. I think he was the 12th annual Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
The director, and he was in Halloween Horror Nights 13. We have the Terror Queen. She's actually got a Scare Zone.
Yeah, I brought that, but yeah, we can
link.
talk more about her in there.
Yeah. Bloody Mary, aka Dr. Mary Agana. I hope I'm saying that right. She was for Halloween Horror Nights 18th year. We have the Usher, who is otherwise known as Julian Browning. We have that was HHN 19. Lady Luck, and she was HHN 21. And then Chance, which is another one. That's the female clown.
Yeah.
Jack the Clown's assistant. She's sort of like the Harley Quinn to Jack the Clown's Joker, and she was the 2016 icon, so she's fairly recent. Bone, he was a Grim Reaper type character that appeared in Halloween Horror Nights 27.
We just missed him because we were into 28. So
yeah. Fear, who is the main villain of I think he was the 20 Years of Fear and was revealed to be the mastermind of the past 19 years of horror. So he was supposed to be like a big guy for the 20th anniversary.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. Eddie Schmidt, he was
that's Jack's brother, supposedly.
Oh yeah. And there's a Scare Zone modeled after him as well, which is kind of cool. There's a link there which we'll cover in the Scare Zone section. And he was intended to appear in Halloween Horror Nights 11, and then he got kind of pushed back, but he gets his own Scare Zone this year. And then Cindy Kane, also known as Cindy, is the daughter of the Caretaker and the unused original icon for Halloween Horror Nights Islands of Fear. So that was I would love to go back and read. I have read that book, but there's all kinds of other lore about Halloween Horror Nights that true fans and like season pass holders would know.
Yeah, I might have missed some too. I tried to get my best on I used the HHN wiki site to try and get as many as I could. There could be some other ones that are surprised that we don't know in there. There were some other minor ones that really were not listed as true icon, but I have a feeling they're going to put like little hints of everything. Like there's that rat lady. I think she'll probably be in this house somewhere.
Yeah, so I feel like I think this is going to be an awesome house. I think unfortunately, I'm going to miss out on a lot of the references because I just don't know these characters and I don't know the history with Halloween Horror Nights. So, but I still think it's going to be a spectacular house.
Yeah, I think at some level we'll have an interesting aspect. Like we'll be able to truly judge like the house in a different way than other people will, because other people that know these characters will probably critique the way they're used in this, where to us they're kind of new and we've just heard about them, so it'll kind of be exciting to see them in action. Next one, here's another one that's big in the horror nights legendary thing, is Welcome to Scary, Horror in the Heartland. And I guess Scary, which is like or Cary is what the town of Cary is supposedly in a bunch of Halloween Horror Night lores of the past. So it's kind of like Derry. It kind of reminds me of, like, from what I remember reading in here. So It says in Cary, bad things just happen. No one escapes from this small town beset by an endless parade of bloodthirsty creatures and maniacs. The town placed a sign in the entrance to Cary, Ohio, saying it's a nice place to live. Fortunately, nobody lives here very long. No one escapes from Cary, where bad things just happen and new terrors rain down year after year. If it claws, bites, feasts on blood, or just likes to rip people to shreds, it somehow finds its way to Cary. Experience an endless parade of unimaginable terrors from horrifying creatures to bloodthirsty maniacs. You can scream all you want in Cary, but everyone's too busy doing their own screaming to pay much notice. So that's kind of cool. That'll be a fun one, I think. I don't think we'll get any of the references of past, but it doesn't matter. I think it'll still be just kind of a fun, cool, house with a lot of good sequences, I think.
We actually have a Cary, North Carolina. It's spelled Cary, and it stands for Containment Area for Relocated Yankees.
Nice.
So
those Northerners, yeah,
those damn Northerners. So house number 7, this one, now this is a true mystery, no pun intended. There's not a whole lot of information about this house. We've seen the pictures. There's not publicity, so there's like pictures people have taken of the facade of it. But this one I'm really excited about, just I think almost because it's so mysterious. And it's called Case Files Unearthed, Legendary Truth. Follow the trail of a private eye as an investigation into the supernatural leads you into a dark world of ghouls and terrifying creatures. So this is like a kind of an old-fashioned gumshoe noir like take on a haunt. It's a theme I've never seen before done in a haunt quite this way, and I think it just sounds really interesting. I think there was I feel like many years ago I'd read about a haunt at Knott's Berry Farm that had kind of a paranormal investigator.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Which this kind of reminds me of, but this one kind of, especially it's in the Hollywood section, which kind of fits the theme. But this one kind of strikes me as maybe a little more old-fashioned type. But I don't know. There's not much information about this one. I'm looking forward to it.
But yeah, that one video we saw, this guy predicted it to be one of the scariest houses, so that'll be interesting. It didn't look like it from the little art we saw on it, but you never know. I mean, there were some houses I did not expect to like, in the original IPs, and they turned out to be some of the best. So you never know. Speaking of that, the next one, House 8, I feel like this is the one, like the seeds of extinction of this year for us. Because Tim and I already joked, we're like, oh, what's so scary about pumpkins? And then we made that mistake the last time. But anyway, this is the Wicked Growth, Realm of the Pumpkin. This seems like, that's kind of that scare zone, but put into a house. Remember that harvest? Yeah. Which is really amazing. So it says, there's no breaking free from the vines of the pumpkin lord here to trap you in his ever-growing evil. An evil rot has taken root in the land. It's time once again for the rise of the pumpkin lord, who grows Halloween like a malignant vine. His minions are scouring the countryside, collecting unwilling sacrifices in order to summon the pumpkin lord. The closer to Halloween, the more people practice the traditions. The greater the powers of the pumpkin lord grow. As the pumpkins grow ever bigger, your fear grows ever greater, and your odds of escape grow smaller. From the cemetery to the forest, it's like to the window, to the wall, to the window. From the cemetery to the forest, there is no breaking free from the tenacious vines of the merciless pumpkin lord. So that seems like it's kind of cool. Like it's got a whole lore to it, and the whole legend storyline that I think you'll be part of. And I think it'll be a lot of it's almost like an indoor version of probably the corn maze mixed with that scary zone kind of thing. But those are sometimes really fun ones because you never know quite when something's going to jump out at you.
Yeah, and I'm just such a sucker for jack-o'-lanterns and pumpkins. Yeah. I just eat that up. Like you do anything themed around jack-o'-lanterns, I'm all for it. So yeah. I'm totally down for that one. As I am with this next one, and it's not because we just did the whole Puppet Master series. This one is Puppet Theater Captive Audience. A puppeteer and a ballet troupe trapped in a deserted theater for years are about to turn you into a human puppet. That's your cue to scream. Open scene, a creepy abandoned old theater from early 1900s San Francisco. A puppeteer and a ballet troupe have been trapped there ever since, and they'd kill for an audience. Whether you're a puppet or a patron, that's your cue to scream. All the blood will drain from your face as you see the green room run red with blood. Your horror grows as you come upon grotesque living marionettes made from severed limbs. If you manage to escape their gory puppetry, then you'll become a part of the skeletal audience rotting in place. I love puppet stuff. I think this sounds cool. I love that it's set in the 1900s. I think that's really interesting. I'm very much looking forward to this one. I don't see this one as like one of the top houses in my mind. I think the subject matter is a little more, I hate to say generic, because I do really genuinely like the premise, but we've all seen marionettes and puppets and stuff done in other haunts. So I don't see this one as like one of the standout houses, but on a personal level, I'm still really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think they'll have some cool, like creepy scenery and stuff in it. And but like I think overall I think it'll be a fun house, but it's definitely one I'm looking forward to all of them, but this is definitely a little bit on my my lower scale. Not for any reason. I mean, I could be pleasantly surprised. I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's no bad houses,
right?
Universal ever does. There's just amazing and really good.
Yeah.
Those will probably be just in the really.
Put it this way: the worst house at Halloween Horror Nights is probably as good, if not better, than the best house at your regional park. So,
oh yeah, easily. The final house is Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. It says the innocent traditions of the Tooth Fairy hide a darker ritual. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You're about to discover the sinister reality behind the seemingly innocent childhood tradition. All children must give up their baby teeth to the goblin-esque tooth fairies or pay a gruesome price. It's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Once again, apparently. To step into an old manor house that's been swarmed by yellow-clawed fiends dripping with blood, teeth, and gore. Grit your teeth as you see the evil fairies extract their toothed bounty by force while their victims struggle in vain. Hold your screams or risk exposing your own teeth to their monstrous grasping claws. I can already envision this house with a lot of people like snapping these like little like tooth removers at you and stuff like that. And there'll probably be a couple of scenes of kids being like fake kids being like.
There's a haunt. They did a Tooth Fairy haunt before, and this is like a sequel. So I've watched the walkthrough of the original Tooth Fairy haunt.
You probably know then.
So and it's really super creepy. So if you get a chance, you go out to YouTube and watch the walkthrough of the original Tooth Fairy haunt. But this one sounds really cool, and my kids are big Tooth Fairy fans. Probably not of this. This take on the Tooth Fairy, but we'll see what they think about this one. This one sounds pretty cool as well.
Yeah, Tim Gibbs will never lose another tooth after this.
Yeah. So that was the houses, and now we'll move on to the scare zones. These I have to say, Brian, I'm not as excited about this batch of scare zones as I was like the year we went. For some reason, I don't know that. None of these like super appeal to me.
We had like full on IP scare zones. Remember,
right? We had Killer Clowns, Chucky.
We had Chucky. Yeah. So there was a lot of, there was a lot of cool scare zones, and like that one Wicked Pumpkin thing was just like a really like cool Halloween walkthrough thing. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, we could be pleasantly surprised. I mean, in all honesty, the Gorewood Forest one, which we'll talk about, seems kind of cool, and the Crypt TV one might be really fun. But I need to start watching some of those YouTube things. But we'll get into it.
Yeah. So the first one up here is this Crypt TV. Step inside Crypt TV, a dark universe of monsters that reside in the same reality on your screen, in your pockets, and now San Francisco. So the Crypt TV, I was looking up a little bit before the show it's
Eli Roth, right? Is behind it.
Yeah, Eli Roth's behind it. It's got the backing of Blumhouse. And it's designed to and these are like short videos, but it's kind of designed to create, I guess, sort of like a monster verse, a shared universe of original creatures that, like they said, exist in the same reality. So they're kind of trying to, I don't know, and from the brief look I gave it, again, I haven't watched any of these videos. From the brief look I gave it, it's almost like if you took, a bunch of varying creepy pastas and these type of social media type horror icons that have come out of social media, like Slender Man and those guys.
What's that, Momo or whatever?
Yeah, like you take those, how they kind of self-generate out of the internet, kind of create creatures like that, and then put them in the same reality in these short films. So I'm definitely going to watch some of these before we go down there, because I do want to kind of get some background on this. So this one could be cool. This one could be surprising to me, but as of right now, I don't know enough about it to really say one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna watch some of this. Next scare zone. This one is like probably that one that's like right in the front there. That, like, remember we were there where it's kind of like it's more of like almost like a museum of 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 sorts, and this one is 30 years 30 fears. So it says the monsters you most dreaded from past Halloween Horror Nights have taken over the streets. They're back in your history. So it's probably going to be like almost like that house just spread out to more of a museum-esque
Yeah.
section, I have a feeling, with some cool scenes, and maybe the characters will be walking around for pictures and meet and greets, I guess. Not that that'll be bad. I think it'll be a lot of like, I definitely, this scare zone is always that scare zone that's just kind of cool to look at, to walk through.
Yeah.
Good pictures, very like very good photo ops, I think, for this one. So this one will be kind of fun to check it out. Maybe we'll get some pictures with Jack.
This next one, Seek and Destroy. A ruthless alien cyber regime led by the controller has taken over New York, turning humans into fuel. Succumb or be destroyed. Now, Brian, I'm not a fan of mixing aliens in with my Halloween. I just don't like. I'm not a huge sci-fi horror fan, and I say that with big reservations because I love the thing.
I know you love Alien.
I love Alien. I love the thing. That there's some. I mean, those are two of my favorite horror movies of all time. So I don't mean it in that respect, but I do mean like like for Halloween they have like a inflatable UFO you put on your yard. Like I don't find to me those things are separate. I know aliens can be scary, and there are some decent horror movies that involve aliens, but to me, Halloween proper is like a separate thing from like aliens.
Yeah.
And I've never found aliens scary when set in a Halloween setting. I don't know. It's just, they don't mix to me. It's like, it's not chocolate and peanut butter for me.
Yeah. And this one is the one I've seen the most of, like that, the super enthused, that girl, I guess Jackie, she goes through, she's shown a lot of this. That other video we watched shows a lot of the sets for this are out already, and they're hard to hide because they're big set pieces where it looks like there's a lot of like vats of where human blood is being stored. I have a feeling this is going to be that one scare zone every year where there's a lot of interactive elements where the people are like yelling at you down there, like, "Hey, you, come on, let's get you."
And that may be a good thing. It may really surprise me. I may actually really like this one.
Well, yeah, and I think it's like it's that one, like, they always try and have something like that to really kind of almost like the water park eats people at theme park. Like I think this is one where a lot of people are going to be standing there watching stuff. Which kind of helps like the lines be a little short. It's going to be a pain to get through that area because I think it's in that tight section, if I remember correctly. But I think overall it'd be just more of a way to like really incorporate the audience, so to speak, into a kind of a storyline. I think there's always at least one scare zone that does that, and I think this is going to be this one. Although the other one too, the one after this next one might be one too. So I guess. Oh wait, did I? Oh yeah, I'm doing Gorewood Forest. Next one's Gorewood Forest. It says 16 years after the gory sacrifices of the Terra Cruentus, the heartless Terra Queen is back. Evil is in her nature, and so she had a. She's one of the icons, and basically she ruled over the Terra Cruentus, which is stalking the land on her monstrous motorcycle and giving out commands to her black guards and other followers. She was present when the ceremony of blood was going underway, and she conducted every ritual with a sacrifice of pure blood, one of the key ingredients for making a ceremonial dagger for the next ritual. Everyone in the Terra Cruentus was forced to worship her and follow her every command. So I have a feeling you're going to have a big set piece to this. Again, this will be similar to the to possibly the other one where there's a lot of interactivity, maybe. I think this will be a very good showpiece to watch. There might be one of those things where, if you time it right, like remember that the Killer Clowns had that, if you timed it right, they do the launch of the ship. So I think this one would be one you want to like kind of, and like Chucky had his thing where he came out. I think this is going to be one where you're going to want to probably stop at one point and wait for the proper show elements to this one, because it'll probably be really cool.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this one quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's the one scare zone out of this batch that kind of appealed to me because I love anything foresty, and it sort of reminds me of that really cool pumpkin scare zone we saw when we went in 2018.
Yeah, we'll have to pose near it and make it Civil Gorewood Forest.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. Yeah. All right, and the last scare zone we have here is Lights, Cameras, HHN, Eddie's Revenge. Get ready for the feel-bad movie of the year. Eddie Schmidt, Jack the Clown's brother, is filming a horror film, and the monsters are real. So Eddie Schmidt's another one of those famous HHN icons, and this one sounds pretty cool. It's like he's filming a horror film, but the monsters are really kind of attacking you. So I could see this one's. We have hints here of a chainsaw being in use, so I could definitely see this one as another one where you have a lot of scare actors running around chasing after you and jumping out and stuff. So this one could be pretty dynamic.
Yeah. So, and then this year is I mean, I think they've had this last year. I mean, the year before, the year we didn't go, like 29. But this year there's 2 shows now. We have that. The first one is the it's Marathon of Mayhem Carnage Factory. It says there's no manufacturing the screams as a terrifying show comes to life in Universal Studios Lagoon. It's a fear factory. So I don't know if you saw, like, when we were there the last time, I don't think we saw this, but they usually have a lagoon show where they project movie scenes on the lagoon. So I have a feeling they're going to have something like that, where a lot of projection elements and water effects and stuff like that. So it'd be really cool lagoon show. Now the problem is with these lagoon shows is, you got to get a good spot. It's going to be in the dark, trying to find people to get, to crowd in. And it's going to be a little tricky. I would like to see this somehow, but I may start watching some more videos, see if anyone gives some tips. Like that week after we go, the first week we go, we have before we go, a lot of people will be going. So we'll be able to get some from our friends and some, I'm sure all the bloggers and stuff like that will advise, see if we can find a specific spot maybe to watch this, because it'd probably be kind of cool to check out a lagoon show.
The next show is Halloween Nightmare Fuel. A new show is igniting Halloween Horror Nights featuring fire, pyro, and aerial performers. And I'll have to be honest with you, Brian, I'm not a big fan of dance groups. And the show we went to in 2018, while it was still good, it was still very entertaining. It's just primarily just a dance show.
Yeah, and we were also about 4 or 5 beers in by that point.
So I'm not. That just doesn't super excite me now. The idea of having fire and pyrotechnics and aerial performers, now that sounds like a show I could get behind. So I'm looking forward to this one. I hope we get to see this one in action.
Yeah, and I'm still thinking there's going to be a surprise. They haven't announced it, but I have a feeling there is going to be, like, they already leaked out now that's a bonus thing that's not mentioned anywhere, but there's a little Chucky section.
Yeah.
There. I don't know if that's maybe in the 30 years, 30 years, but there's gonna be a little Chucky thing, kind of like what we were last time. It wouldn't shock me if they somehow, one of these shows incorporated a surprise appearance by Bill and Ted, because their show used to be really huge throughout Halloween Horror Night history. I'm really still surprised they didn't bring that show back. So I have a feeling there's going to be some kind of surprise reference to them. I mean, how could you? I mean, it was such a legendary thing. How could you not have them for the 30th anniversary? It just doesn't make sense. I think they're going to appear somewhere, whether it's on screen in that other show or one of these Carnage shows or something. Because based on that book, they said they used to have really fun appearances. So I don't know. And then, of course, there's attractions going to be open. We'll get to some of those. Definitely getting some pizza fries. I think maybe we'll go for some mixed drinks, those fun mixed drinks this year.
Anything, if I can get something, a souvenir cup, I'm going. I'm all for it. I want to get some crazy drinks, and it's gonna be a really good time. The kids are older this year, which is going to definitely help things. As much fun as we had in 2018 with them, 2, almost 3 years younger. I think it's just going to be a completely new experience this year with them, because they're going to just appreciate everything more, and they're old enough to ride some rides they couldn't ride back then. They're going to be more equipped to handle the haunt stuff, which they didn't get to really experience back then. So I'm just so excited for this, and the kids are too. They ask me every day, like, how many days left till we get to go. So.
And they and they had so much fun the last night. Yeah, and now that they're, like you said, you've gotten them into some horror movies now, so they're going to know some references. And plus, Joshua was too short to ride some stuff. He'll be able to ride it this time.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a blast.
I know we're going to probably have to ride the Mummy a bunch, which is no problem, because that's Anna. Anna loves that one, and that's one of my favorites. So that'll be great. And there's a couple of 2 new major coasters that we have not been on.
That's right. That's
we need to add.
Super exciting for me. Get to ride Velocicoaster and Hagrid. So those 2 alone would be worth me going down there for. Even this not being the 30th anniversary of Halloween Horror Nights. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, and I'm not bringing my big video camera this year. I'm just going to use my phone, so it'll be a lot easier this year. I'm going to be traveling much lighter with stuff, so we'll definitely be able to get more content this year. I know we say that every year, but this one I'm definitely going to do it. I'm even going to start with some preview videos, like when I'm packing and stuff, kind of show some stuff like that I'm bringing there, some of their new shirts. Like, I ordered a bunch of shirts for the, we don't have an original shirt this year because they were so late on doing it. Was just bad timing, and because last year Julie spent like a month designing that shirt. We just didn't have the time this year. But yeah, we're both looking forward to this. We'll definitely try and give you at least we'll tweet along throughout the day, try and get some live videos. So we'll as it gets closer, we'll give you some more details on it. But yeah, we're looking forward to this. So hopefully when this is released, it's the day of Halloween Horror Nights starting. For those who maybe are traveling there, they want to listen to it. I think it'll be fun. Like I said, we're not experts of this event by any means,
by any stretch. But
you know what? We do know we know a good haunt when we see one. So I think we're going to be in for a great treat.
Yep. All right, guys. So we will see you back here. I don't know exactly when we'll see you back here, but we are releasing shows. As you know, we're kind of in between regular episodes right now. We're gearing up for our 200th episode, and we are releasing interviews and, of course, this preview show. We got our dismemberment coming up. So stay tuned for our social media. We will be releasing content throughout, even before our 200th. So
yes.
Stay tuned.